Hey YouTube, how you doing? Got another fixed blade knife review for you, and this is another budget blade. All right, now every once in a while, I like to challenge myself by trying to find the lowest priced knife that would actually be functional for a given category. Oh, and while I introduce this, let me just give you a size comparison with my full-size Marine K-bar. As you can see, this knife is slightly longer than your full-sized K-bar. As I was saying, I like to see, what's the cheapest, let's say, EDC folding knife? What's the lowest I could spend and still get a knife that could actually function in the role and function pretty decently? All right, and that's the case with this knife. Also, a lot of people will ask, like, what's the lowest priced, whatever type knife that could still work. Right, well, as far as military fixed blade fighting knives, such as the K-bar, all right, the military fighting blade category, this knife right here is the most inexpensive knife that I've found that I would say could actually function well in the role of a fighter. Not necessarily combat utility, okay, but as far as just combat. Alright, now let's just take a closer look at the knife. Here you see the blade itself. The blade length on this is 7 3/4 inches. Right, and it is it's a partial hollow grind. You see it has a very slight recurve, and it is a drop point. It's basically, the design lends itself as primarily a thrusting weapon. I would put it in kind of the single-edged dagger category. It is full tang, of course, and it is thick. That's one of the deciding factors for me. I don't care the price of the knife. What determines if it holds up is going to be, the thickness. The handle scales on this, they are smooth micarta, actually, which you usually don't see on a cheaper knife. And you see the lanyard hole there. Alright, now as the title should say, this knife costs about $13, but it actually has a very nice grip. The grip is a bit wide, which is actually good, much like the K-bar. It's a little bit oversized, but that just makes it more maneuverable. And even if your hands are bigger, like mine are medium, but even if you had bigger hands, I feel this would give you an excellent grip. It is smooth, but that doesn't matter because the contour, the deep finger groove right there, the integral guard, and also you can see it has a nice palm swell. All right, you see that profile there. So as inexpensive as it is, for me, the handle actually works. As you can see, the blade is at a slight angle to the handle. There's a slight curve there, and that just makes it, it lends itself to thrusting. All right, hope you can, I think you can figure out how to use such a blade. All right, so the handle works. Let's talk about the blade design. Well, I think a thrusting design like this, I think it's excellent. If an enemy soldier is charging at you, this will take him out. If you are a highly motivated, young, strong soldier or self-defender, I think you could do quite a bit of damage with this blade. And the subtle recurve actually makes it a little better as a close cutter too, although that's not its primary mission. And those serrations are actually sharpened if you had to cut with the spine of the knife for some reason. Alright, but perhaps the best feature of this blade is that it was not actually designed by M-Tech. Like, it is an M-Tech knife, no offense to M-Tech, but this blade design actually seems to be based off this knife. Right, this is the Junglee Hattori Fighter, a much more expensive knife and a very capable fighter. And Junglee is a company that's no longer in business, okay? So there's no legal problem with them basically making a blade. Let me just tilt them so you can see better. You can see the cheap knife is basically a scaled up copy of this discontinued Junglee Hattori Fighter. Alright, and they even went so far as to copy the serrations from the Junglee knife. And now, you know, I have no problem with them using a design that's already been developed, and that's a good design. I'm glad they did that. The Junglee is an excellent fighter. It used to go for about, I don't know, $50, $60. Excellent fighter. So, they copied a winning design, you know. It's not original, but it is functional. And, you know, it helps us out. Gives us a bargain knife. Alright, and the steel on this is listed as 440 stainless. And as I've said before, you know, steel is really important for retaining an edge and taking a sharp edge if you're talking about a survival knife. If you're talking about a fighting knife, even very soft steel is much harder than flesh. Alright, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I don't want to pay that little for my fighting knife. I want to pay more. Well, alright, let me give you a more expensive option. You know, you can go the Sog Agency Knife. You know, I'll review this in the future. It's about a $140 knife, and it's of comparable size, and it certainly could fulfill the fighter mission. Alright, so if you're looking to spend more money, there you go. That's the non-budget option in the same category. Alright, YouTube, I hope this helped you out. And you know, I'm not saying to go to war with a cheap knife. You know, if you're some kind of deadly commando, then by all means go with something expensive and deadly and sexy like this. But you know, I'm not in the SAS, and probably neither are you. So if you just want something that's kind of like, you know, you're probably never going to have to use it. But if you want something, oops, sorry about that. If you want something just in case, you know, kind of like a gun, you know, I really doubt you go out and get in gunfights every day. If you use your handgun, it'll probably be only once in your whole life. And, you know, that's the way I feel about this for most people. If you ever had to use this, like, let's say, I don't know, in your home, defending against some criminal or something, it's only going to happen once or twice in your life. So that might be a reason for you to not want to buy like a $150 knife. Maybe you could spend that money on better stuff, more ammo, but you don't want to be totally naked as far as the fighting knife category. Well, then this is for you, right? And as I said, I would feel confident with this knife. This will go right through someone and out the other end, just as good as the more expensive one will. Alright, and super quickly, you know, this is the cheap sheath. This belt loop, cross strap with a button closure. Oh, M-Tech, boo. No, they're alright. This is the cheap sheath. Alright, so there you got it. Another budget review. The cheapest budget fighter that I could find that would function. Hope you found this very useful. Stay tuned for many more. And I am out of here, dudes. Peace out. Peace through superior firepower out.